What is up, guys? Speed here, and today I'm going over something that should hopefully help you guys dominate your solo queue games. This is going to be a best heroes for solo queue minor list. I'm going to be giving 2 heroes for every single position: safe lane, mid, off lane, position 4, and position 5. And hopefully, if you take this into consideration, you'll be able to have a lot more success in your games, because I do think there is somewhat of a formula, especially for such a discombobulated environment such as solo queue. But let's get into it. Before we do actually get into the main content of the video, I just want to let you guys know that over on the gameleap.com website, I'm recently starting to make a lot more heavy educational videos, and I would really enjoy if you guys checked it out. There's a link down below. It gave me your thoughts, because it's something I'm doing a little bit different. I'm just kind of going into different replays, giving my thoughts, breaking down different roles, and I'm really going to be expanding on that over the upcoming months, so check that out if you're interested. Coming in at number 1, I guess not coming in, but number 1 for safe laners is Juggernaut. Juggernaut is one of the best solo queue heroes purely because he can spin TP. Now, this might seem a little bit crazy, but in my opinion, and in a lot of pros' opinion, being able to push waves and understanding your limits is probably the biggest thing that low MMR players simply don't understand. They don't know how to push their limits, and as a result, they don't actually learn the game and put the proper pressure. Also, Juggernaut is one of the best laners in Dota. What I've noticed is that in a lot of games that are below 4k MMR, people simply don't put nearly enough pressure. Juggernaut is a hero that has no problem doing that. As long as you have a little bit of mana regeneration and proper spell usage, as well as maybe a slower stun in lane, you're going to provide a lot of harass that people can't deal with, right? Because if they trade in the early levels, in which Jug has a very good base attack time and high armor, they're going to get spin on and inevitably killed, and this snowballs your lane heavily. Laning stage is such a big deal in solo queue. It's when people start tilting, and it basically throws people off if they have a bad lane. They don't know how to come back. And as a result, having a strong laner who, even when behind, can just split push waves and create map pressure that way is going to have success. So next time you play Jug, try to apply a lot of pressure in the laning stage, and then really expand the map by pushing your limits in every single lane you farm. Next up for safe lane is a hero that's a little bit different, but I think has a lot of the same concepts as Juggernaut, and that is Ember Spirit. Now you have to consider that Ember Spirit is a hero that does not have nearly as good of a laning stage as Juggernaut. You can get crushed in lane, but as I said, people simply do not apply enough pressure as they should, and as a result, if you buy enough regen, you're going to be able to sustain your lane and then get enough levels to be one of the scariest heroes on the map. Ember Spirit only needs one true item to do infinite amounts of damage, and that is Maelstrom. When you pick up your Maelstrom, you can win team fights simply through sleight of fist, and not only that, you can push waves to infinity. As long as you keep a remnant back, it's similar to Jug. If they don't have the proper heroes, there's no way they catch you. They'll never be able to push because their lanes are always going to be shoved in, and you're going to scale super well. So if you can get comfortable on all the spell casting on Ember Spirit, whether that's Slight Chains or remnanting, or even knowing when to use Flame Guard, you're going to have success, because he, in my opinion, covers the model of a good solo queue hero. Split pushing, high damage, and scales well. Now moving into the mid lane at number 1 is Razor. Now Razor, in my opinion, is the Viper of last patch, or 2 patches ago. Viper was in a place where he was just nuts. He could farm faster than any hero in Dota, even if he lost his lane. It was really hard to deal with. And Razor feels the same way, except is a lane dominator, right? This is why you should basically only run Razor in the mid lane. He's so dominant with levels and really good in 1v1 matchups, simply because he can guarantee that he's going to get a decent link off against 90% of matchups. You also have to consider that some heroes are nullified entirely by Razor, even if they aren't in the mid lane. Heroes such as Sven, Troll, Lifestealer cannot do anything in teamfights if they get linked. Absolutely nothing. So a level 10 Razor waltzing into a Troll, Sven, or Lifestealer lane is going to completely ruin their game. In addition, if there's an Ember Spirit mid, or any of these melee heroes or slow ranged heroes such as Invoker or Pugna, they're not going to really be able to disengage from the link, and even if you steal 7 or 14 damage in the early levels, you're going to get every single deny, and not only that, you're going to be able to farm much faster than them in the jungle. Your Q and your E, as long as you max out your E, your unstable concurrent, you're going to win the game. Straight up. You can farm faster than anyone else, you team fight, and you scale fantastically. And next up on my mid lane list is a hero I've talked about for a while. I've mentioned this in a lot of videos, and it's Alchemist. As I said, people are not nearly aggressive as they should be. What does Alchemist like to take advantage of? Space and open map, right? Even if you don't win your lane on Alch, which you probably won't, unless people really don't know what they're doing, you probably won't win your lane, but you can always catch back up, and you catch back up faster than any hero in Dota. That is the perfect formula for a solo queue hero. Good catch-up mechanic, scales extremely well, and the best thing about Alchemist is not only do you have these kind of components for solo queue, but you also hit one of the scariest timings in the game through Radiance Manta Blink. Once an Alchemist has Radiant Manta Blink, you should not be able to farm where you want to because he can always blink on you. He can farm anywhere he wants because the Radiance Manta illusions feel near unkillable, and not only that, they have a Radiance effect. And in general, it's very hard to make plays against this hero because it's super hard to go on him. He has a Purge through his ultimate. He has Acid Spray, so if you really try to dive him, you're going to get X-boxed, if you know what I'm saying. And in general, he provides the perfect sort of toolkit for anyone 4K and below, even 5K and below. I promise you, if I went into a solo queue game, a solo queue environment, and I showed you every single step of the way and simply farmed for the first 20-25 minutes, there would be near nothing the enemy team could do because they don't fully understand map pressure, and you should abuse that like other pros do. Now getting into offlane, we have Batrider. Why is Batrider so good? Batrider doesn't really scale. Well, Batrider is the Giga anti-scale. He is single-handedly probably the scariest laner even against heroes with purges. If you get good enough with Batrider, you can beat Jug. You can beat Slark. I've beat so many Slarks. This is one of my favorite heroes, Batrider. I've dominated so many Slarks, I can't even begin to explain. For some reason, people think that just because you can purge my sticky napalm, it's going to work out. But the thing is, Slark then commits a lot of HP. Basically, the point is, Batrider dominates so many lanes. It prevents people from picking Lycan, Spectre, Sven, Terrorblade, Phantom Assassin. These heroes cannot lane against a good Batrider player, period. So if you understand how to play Batrider, and you spend the time over your next 3 games mastering the limits of Batrider, you're going to notice that every lane is a kill lane. Every single lane is a kill lane. The only thing you have to get used to is bad attack animation. But as long as you get used to that, and then you go a build that allows you to scale, such as the Bot's Drums build, which is more stats-based rather than roaming-based, I would recommend that. You're going to be able to scale fairly well. You can do quite a bit of damage in the mid and late game, and you're going to put the safe laner in the worst condition they could ever be in. Next up for offlane, we have Doom. Now, Doom is a great hero in solo queue because he farms fast. That's it. Actually, that's not it. There's other reasons, which I'll go into, but Doom has Devour. Devour means that even if you are an extremely inefficient player, you should understand that every time his Doom is up, I should go eat a creep. That is the most basic formula of Dota. Eat a creep, get gold, win the game. Not only that, Doom is a great aura carrier. I think a lot of players mistakenly don't buy the auras they should, whether it's Drums, Vlad's, Crimson Pipe, but Doom always have these as recommended items, and I recommend you consider buying them. A tanky Doom feels impossible to deal with. If you go check out any recent video on Doom or VOD on Doom, then you will notice they are starting to max their W, which is the fire thing that goes around them. And as a result, even if you don't have damage items that allow you to close the gap for your Infernal Blade, you're going to still be able to pump out a lot of damage, and not only that, you can push out waves. Woo! Doom pushing out waves and is tanky is going to lead to this scenario very often. You're going to keep your farm up, you're going to hit your level 15, you're going to get your 150 bonus gold Devour talent, you're going to eat creeps for 250 gold. 250 gold, that's significantly more than Midas. And then when people gank you, you're going to turn on your W, Doom one of them, kill them, and then their whole tempo is going to be thrown off. They're going to tilt because they're going to think they can kill you. You're going to turn the fight, and their whole game goes into the dumpster. Moving on to the position 4 role is Shadow Shaman. Shadow Shaman, in my opinion, is like by far the best solo queue hero for the position 4 role. And I was looking at other heroes and really trying to think of this list. I couldn't even find anything, in my opinion, that comes close to the prowess of Shadow Shaman. Let me give you the reasons why. People's communication is low, right? And what destroys Shadow Shaman? Coordinated ganks on him in the early game, right? Because the hero, his disengage is very bad. Low movement speed, even if you buy boots. You're still fairly low movement speed, and you don't have a proper disengage spell. And as a result, that's what can kill you. But in solo queue, is that an issue? No, never. It's just not. The coordination's not there. And as a result, you're going to be able to roam free in the laning stage, hit for over 70 damage, and have Aether Shock level 1, which is a, 150 damage spell. Basically, you trade super efficiently. As long as you focus on hitting the safe laner, you're going to ruin their lane. You keep your levels up, spend all your mana, deny yourself to the tier 2, come back, Aether Shock them a game, laning stage is over. And then transitioning into the mid game, what do you have that other supports don't? What do so many support players complain about? It's purely the fact that their team isn't pushing, their team isn't fighting. What does Shadow Shaman not care about? His team. You could care less about your team. All you have to do is buy an item such as Blink Glimmer Cape or Aether Lens, split push from the trees, or just split push in general if your team is fighting. Throw down snakes at a tower, you don't need anyone's help. Snakes will take the tower alone. You get a ton of gold from the tower and the creeps that you have pushed. And not only that, if anyone tries to push a lane, you can easily set up a gank with Hex Shackles. It's fantastic. I really recommend for all you position 4 players, not position 5, don't pick this hero as a 5, please. Okay, it's alright, but it's so much better as a 4. You can solo carry the game if you get Ag's Refresher, and as a result, pick Shadow Shaman. But next up, even though this really doesn't follow up to the prowess of Shadow Shaman, it's another S hero, Shadow Demon. It's another Shadow, and the reason is, you can carry the game as Shadow Demon. If you get good with Shadow Poison, it does so much damage in fights, it's unbelievable. In addition, low MMR fights last for significantly longer, right? People walk around mid a lot, like it becomes this Mexican standoff, or two teams, I should say, are just staring at each other. Shadow Poison, it loves those situations. You just chuck them out, it's gonna hit people, you get 5 stacks, they lose half their HP, 3/4, or they just get solo killed if you follow it up with a W. Mentioning the W, Shadow Demon's Soul Catcher reduces 40% of your life. Even if you BKB, you just straight up lose the HP. 40%, I don't know who came up with this number, but 40% is a very high number. It's very high. Considering it basically ignores everything, it's super high. Not only that, a lot of the heavy scaling agility cores hate playing against Shadow Demon, especially Terrorblade. If you disrupt someone like Morphling, PL, Terrorblade, and you have their illusions in a fight, I forgot to mention Luna, you're just gonna shred. I've seen Shadow Demons get rampages. There's clips of that. You can look it up because they just got the proper illusions. This hero is one of the best supports for carrying, and in the 4 role, his laning stage is pretty straightforward like Shadow Shaman. You throw out your mana, you try to get 5 stacks on people, you stack the medium camp, you pull it, you kill it, and then when you're out of mana, you run to the tier 2, kill yourself, walk back, and do it all again. Very straightforward laning stage, good at pushing in waves in the mid and late game, and can solo carry with proper disruption and soul catcher usage. Now coming in at number 5 is Nature's Prophet. Now recently, Jenkins, one of my dear friends over at Dota Alchemy, made a video on Nature's Prophet, so I really recommend you check that out. He talks about a lot in depth about why Nature's Prophet is such a good support in solo queue, and I couldn't agree more. I really couldn't. It is so good. So good in solo queue. You dominate lane, which is really important. First off, you get your carry off to a good start, and then after you get them off to a good start, you can just leave in jungle. You literally could jungle for the first 10 minutes. You hit your 6, you provide some of the greatest kill threat in the game globally through your ultimate. It does way too much damage, and then you buy Vlad's, you buy your Meteor Hammer, and you split push until the game ends. And people don't know how to deal with it, period. It will work so much. If you learn how to micro-treants and win your laning stage, it's a simple formula after that. Farm your 6, you cast it to deal with fights, maybe you show up if needed. But basically you just ult for fights, and then if the fight isn't going well, or even if it is going well, you go split push. You cut a wave, and you're gonna get farm as a position 5, which is really cool and important. And not only that, you can pressure objectives. You can end the game. Wonderful. And finally, for the last hero on this list, thank you for staying with me, or skipping to this point. But why is Jakiro a grade 5? He's very similar to Nature's Prophet. He can have a very dominating laning stage with the proper hero. Heroes such as Juggernaut, Show Warlord, Morphling. You can do a lot in the laning stage. You have to be a little bit careful if you have a weak laner. However, going back to the main point, you can have a very strong laning stage, but more importantly, your hero loves farm. So if you're playing Jakiro 5, what I recommend you do is you farm as much as possible. Stack the small camp, pull it, farm it. Sap XP from the lane, take your ultimate at 6, use your Q and your ultimate to constantly farm creep waves. If the enemy team tries to push a tower, you go ult the wave. Or if you don't have it, you go Q the wave. Constantly defend towers, you constantly pushing creep waves, and not only that, you can literally go suicide at towers. And it won't matter. And this concept of split pushing as a support is so effective in solo queue that I'd be willing to bet if I taught someone simply on the ways of split pushing, they could gain 500 MMR, 1000 MMR from the support role. And people really think it's near impossible. I guarantee you, split pushing and farming as a support, such as Nature's Prophet and Jakiro, is incredibly effective if you really get it down. And that is why Nature's Prophet and Jakiro are my 5s for this list. So I hope you guys really take these suggestions into consideration. These are some of my personal favorites for each and every role. I've used all of these throughout my solo queue journey, and I hope you consider them in yours because I think they have something special. Now, I'm not saying that other heroes aren't as good, or maybe you being more comfortable on one means that you just shouldn't pick it. But if you learn these, I think you're going to have an edge up on your opponents, and as a result, you should gain MMR. Before I leave you, I just want to remind you that over at gameleap.com, you can check out guides just like this one, made by top tier pros. It will help you gain MMR faster, it will help you learn the game much more in depth, and overall, just increase the experience of your Dota gameplay as you will crush your opponents simply by knowing more than them. So thank you for watching. If you enjoyed or learned anything about Dota at all, please do like and subscribe, and of course, I'll see you in the next video.